So this is Baruch Fleischman here, your lift manager at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and we're in here for the second Shaar in the Otzrot Chaim. Let's see how far we could go. God should bless us. So I stopped at number Kaf Aleph because I think that's where my Shaar stopped before. And now we're going to be in a different place. So we were reading up at top, and I stopped here at Kaf Aleph, but now we're going to go down to the Tivuk Avanos. And we're going to read the black print, the bold print, the words of the Rav that appear up here. And the light print are going to be the words of the Tiv. And what the Tiv's going to do is he's going to re-say what the Rav says. Basically what he does. Let's look at here. V'hinei oizen. The gematria of the word ozen is a gematria of 58. The gematria nun ches is 58. He says, sod, same, shem, sag. He says, so the concept of the ear is also the concept of the name sag. He says, it is, ozen is 58, and sag is 63. So they're not the same, but nonetheless, he says, choser hey. In other words, it's 58, it's 63 minus 5. Hey achrona. So he says, so he gives us a hint of where to look at it. Ein bedrosh achap. That's another drush that we're going to see later on, which actually is the words ozim chotim peh, which right now is nothing we could do with that. He says base gimel dalid. So he says that's where you find it, bedrosh achap, and he says it's in these 3 chapters in Shaar achap. And then you're going to understand what's going on with this hey achrona. Why are we missing 5 here? Ki misham maskil shem sag kaniskar, because from the ears of Adam Kadmon is where the name sag starts. And we're going to explain this with God's help. Now here comes the Tiv, and let's see what he says. Oros alaznayim he bebechinas av the sag. Whoa. The light that comes out from Adam Kadmon, he says, is the concept of the top of sag. Because now we're going to say that sag, remember I said before, it has an asmab within it. So the area of the sag, which is the ears, that's the top part of that. And he said also that there's 10 spheros over here, so it means it's a vertical kind of way of describing it. He said this is the top part of sag. It's the av the sag. The hinder of betamim shabedekudos. This is another way to say this, so that the sag is the nekudos, and this is the top part of the nekudos, which is the tamim. The klalos haim nekrayim shem sag. But looking at them together, they're all part of the name sag. Because if you look at the ears and you're going downwards, maskil shem sag hadaklalos. That's where you see the name sag in general corresponds to that area. So how do we know this? So take the number 63, take away 5, you get to the number shel hey achrona dechavai, and he says you take it away from the yud ke vav ke, which is the final hey. Ola keminyan noch, it comes to the number 58, begematria oizen. Now this maybe sound like, what is he talking about here? Yizboyer mifnei ma mechasrim chamesh minions asag. So later on we're going to explain this. We're going to try to give you an idea. My question is that how did they get the chavai out of this? Yud K Vav K. It's the final K, but he says that's the part that's missing. So okay, just take his word for it. We're learning words. We're learning concepts. That's what we do. Hines v'hine elu ha'oras heim bechinas tamim. So these lights, he says, are the concept of the tamim shel shem sag el yonim. It's the concept of the top part of sag. Osim shehem lamala ala osis kenisker la'el, but it also refers to the tamim that you find on top of the letters. La'el shenino, up above we learn sheyeshnam shlosh madregos bebechidas tamim. There are 3 different levels of tamim. Shem tamim el yonim, they're the upper tamim, tamim emsiim, tamim tachtonim, and they're the lower tamim. So the lights that come out of the ears, he says, tamim el yonim shebashem sag, because sag is the ear, And so therefore, this may have implications down the road. I'm trying to understand. He says, Tamim el yonim sheb'shem sag. So the Tamim would be the name sag, and it would refer to the music that's on top of them. I call it music. So when the upper Tamim come out, so then the nose comes out a different kind of light, which is called the Tamim Emse'im, the middle Tamim. And then after this, it comes out from the mouth, come out the Tamim, the lower Tamim. So when these finally come out, these three, then something else happens. Let me get this back down. I got to keep track of where we're at because I don't have that much room here. He said, there's another concept, is where the nekudos come out of the eyes. Now just listen to this and just know it. That's just a fact. And we're going to get into it in detail. But the Rav always starts from the outside. But he tells you the names of things and you don't know what the names mean. That's the whole thing here. So if this is something that's sweet to your ears, you'll keep going. He says, Kamosha Yizbar Lukaman, as we're going to see later on, Bishar Nekudim and Perik Aleph. So later on, we're going to find out what that's all about. The lights that come out of the ears, Shehem Behelim, which are completely hidden. Yotze Betzuras Ozdu, they come out in the formation of a letter. It's the letter He in the form of a Dalet and a Vav. Harameza the Chamisha Partsufim Akolim Basochem as called Eser Spheros, which is really a reference to the 5 different Partsufim, Kololim, that there is a klal, the general Partsufim are 5. That is, they're going to be called Eric Anpin. They're going to be called Abba Ve'ima or Chochman Bina. Those are 3. And then there's Zachar V'Nuk, which is also called Zer Anpin and Malchus. So those are the 5 Partsufim. So he says, as called as Spheros, and in those 5 Partsufim are incorporated all of the 5 Spheros, 10 Spheros rather. Both in Shekeser hu Partsuf Arich. Now he explains it out. He says that the crown is the Partsuf of Arich, the Chochma Umbina ein Partsufim Abba Ve'ima. And then we said the Chagad, which is Chesed Gevur Teferes, and then Netzachod Yisod, the lore, hein parts of Zah. They refer to the parts of Zah. Now I translate the word Partsuf to mean the light processing system. Malchus he parts of Nukdazah. And the Malchus is the parts of the Nukdazah. Then the Malchus is called the female aspect of Zer Anpin. So let's take the He by itself. Nirmaz Mispar Eser. You can see within that name that there is a concept of 10 in it. How is that? Because you could look at a He by beginning with the letter Dalet. And then you could see the leg of the He would be a Vav Knizkar. So that you have Dalet and Vav, that's 10. So the lights that come out of the ears, the eyes, the lights that come out of the nose, and the mouth, and that's where this word achap comes from, because it's the first letters of all of these names. Heim shloshim bedregos hatam and the sag. These are the 3 letters these are the 3 levels of the tamim of sag. That is the lights that are coming out of from these 3 places. Rem is the zest of the rem is the allusion to this, who Shetevis Oizin, the letter itself, She'oida begematria nunches, which comes to the gematria 58, as we said before. Kasher yitzarif osichem leorcha oizins, and when you join them together with the light that's coming out of the ear, so there's an ear, which is the concept of 58. The light that's coming out of it, sheyatze be'os b'tzuras hey. So he says that the light that comes out, you have to really hear this, is really in the form of the He, which he just said the He could be divided into the number 10. Heim olim yachad, the minyan sag. So take the Noach and take the He, and you'll have the number 63. V'chein achotim hu kaminyan sag. So if you add up the gematria of chotim is 6 and 8 is 14, and 9 is 23, and another 40 will give you 63. So chotem is sag itself. Ki ha'or ha'yotzim in a chotem, yosim bagula is more revealed, it's thicker, min ha'oris ha'yotzim min ha'ozen, or they're thicker than what comes out from the ears. V'lohalon yisboyer, so as we go forward, we will explain. So there's a concept that we're going to start learning about, which is the concept of a kli. Now, you know about kalim, because in our world, everything is all over the joint. But to begin with, there's nothing to hold the light of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. So here we have a structure which is clothing the light of the Ein Sof, but now we're introducing the concept of kalim. And how are kalim made? So the Tiv is helping us out here with some new ideas. It's made out of two different lights. More makif or panimi, these two different lights which are really opposites. What inside and outside are two opposites. Makim, they strike, umabachim zelazeh. They kick each other, they bounce off of each other. And between that, the friction that's caused there, umavein shenechem, this is how the kalim are built. V'naase kli gomor. It makes a complete and total kli. So with the lights of the ear, we explained up above, that the surrounding light comes out from the right ear, small, and the inner light comes from the left. Remember we said the right and the left. So the right is going to be the stronger light, which is called the light of the makif, and he's going to explain why. A small. It's also for the nose. So you see, again, the makif comes out of the right nostril. Small, it comes out of the left nostril. So since the openings in the ears, so let's talk about the openings of the ears, the openings of the mouth, of the nose, they're separated. There's a bridge in the nose, and the ears are on both sides of the face. So he said, so therefore these two lights, the panimi and the makif, so this concept is that they're not really united, these two lights. They're different. It's because there's a distance between them. And since they're far away from each other, they can't strike each other. And for this reason, you don't see any kalim when you're talking about the lights that are coming out of the ears and the nose. But when you talk about the mouth now, where there's no distance, there's only one opening. This is where you see that the mekifim that are on the inside, when they're near each other. And they strike each other and they make a complete kli. So how do you understand this? The word peh is a gematria 85, who gematria sag. It's a gematria of sag with the 22 letters. So he said the kaf base osius. Behind the kedisa b'sefer Yitzira, this we find the Sefer Yitzira in Perek Dal, Mishnah Tes Zayin. Shakelim hem kaf base osius. Now we have another idea. Is that the concept of a letter, that is the letters that are on this page, and the one that say, like I got my pencil pointed at the vav. He says that this letter is actually a receptacle of light. So he said, and the concept here is that the thought really doesn't come out into revelation unless you have letters, because the letters hold the light. Shehem hadibur or hachasiva, that is by speaking or by writing. Also here, ha'osius hemakelim. Sha'al yadam misgala ha'or b'shleimus, and through them, that's how you see the complete and total light. So let's stop here, and this will be the second shiur, and we'll go on.